Hello, welcome to Psalm Blog. I guess you wouldn't advertise a car by telling people how slow it goes. You wouldn't advertise a phone by telling people how little it's going to change their lives. You wouldn't advertise a holiday by telling people how much it's going to be like normal life at home. And so I guess you probably wouldn't think you would advertise the Christian faith. You wouldn't make it attractive by telling people that times of bleak despair and a sense of abandonment by God can actually be part of the Christian life. That's how Psalm 13 begins. The writer says this: How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I wrestle with my thoughts? And yet, this psalm is here. The fact the psalm is here says that it's part of Israel's authorised worship. In other words, it's in God's hymn book. He's put it there. Being a Christian does not exempt one from mental or physical suffering. And the presence of this psalm, like many others like it, is there because God expects his people to go through times like this. But it's also here to help us pray through times like this, give us words to say to God when we feel abandoned. God knows us inside out, and he doesn't mind honest talk. It doesn't shock him. Say to God, it feels like you've left me. He's not going to abandon us because of that. We don't need to be afraid of it. And so this prayer is first of all an expression of a real relationship with God. You can't have a real relationship without honesty. The writer C.S. Lewis described prayer this way: let the real me speak to the real you. And that's what we've got here. But is there any hope when we feel abandoned? Or is life just tough? And we've got to say, well, let's make the most of it. Let's get on with it. There is real hope. And the one way above all we know that is because God didn't stand at a distance watching our suffering, but he came down, lived as one of us, as his son, Jesus Christ. He suffered. And it says this about him: he took up our infirmities and carried our diseases. He even went to the cross, died, suffered, and did it to save us. Here at the end of the psalm, the writer finds hope in God. He sings, I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing to the Lord, for he has been good to me. There's no specific sign in this psalm that his problems have disappeared, but the writer's view of the world and his circumstances has changed for the better. Firstly, he remembers that God has been good in the past, and so he has hope for the future. And when times are hard and we feel abandoned by God, it's a helpful habit to sit down and specifically write down all the ways that God has been good to you and you've seen the goodness of God in your life. This may be through direct answers to prayer, through circumstances, through just the beauty of the world around you, or through the actions of other people. And I think if you do that, you'll be surprised how long the list is. The writer also praises God for his unfailing love. What is unfailing love like? It's love that never ends. Can you reach the end of the rainbow? No. Can you chase down the setting sun? No. So neither will God's love for his people ever come to an end.